Hello everyone, this is Pinai Red Rose, and what I have here is the arc of a Scythe Trilogy by Neil Shusterman. Now, I didn't think these books would be that good, but I decided to give them a chance, so I ordered myself a set of the Scythe Trilogy, and I was actually pleasantly surprised that the overall story was interesting and pretty well done. Getting into the story, here in the back, it says, in a perfect world that's conquered death, Scythes are the only ones who can end life, and they are commanded to do so in order to keep the size of the population under control. But as corruption within their ranks spreads and dictators, prophets, and tensions rise, will humanity finally be torn asunder by the immortal beings it created? Here are the books: Scythe, Thunderhead, and the final one, The Toll. Scythe is the first book. It introduces us to a fictional society where man has conquered death by technological means. Scythe sets the tone in the series with a new form of social structure in which an artificial intelligence runs the world. All technology is linked to this AI, including the nanotechnology that the people depend on for infinite living. Because of this, individuals known as Scythe dole out death, and as a whole, they are known as the Scythedom. They did a really good job on the art for the cover, for the book covers. It's one of the things that kind of caught my attention. So, continuing on, here in the back, they have the Scythe's commandments. Thou shalt kill with no bias, bigotry, or malice, afterthought. Thou shalt grant an atom of immunity to the beloved of those who accept your coming. Thou shalt kill the beloved of those who resist. The Scythe commandments are definitely a skewed version of the biblical commandments and are reminiscent of the Georgia Guidestones. Okay, so getting into the book. Thou shalt kill a world with no hunger, no disease, no war, no misery. Humanity has conquered all things and has even conquered death. Now, Scythes are the only ones who can end life, and they are commanded to do so in order to keep the size of the population under control. Citra and Rowan are chosen to apprentice to a Scythe, a role that neither wants. These teens must master the art of taking life, knowing that the consequences of failure could mean losing their own. Scythe is the debut of a thrilling new series by National Book Award-winning author Neil Shusterman, in which Citra and Rowan learn that a perfect world comes only with a heavy price. So, within this society, the artificial intelligence runs everything except for the Scythes. Getting into the artificial intelligence. Within the story, it is highly advanced. It has control of the world's economies. It has control of the world's technologies, and it has control of the environment. Now, actually, here on page 29, it says 2042. It's a year that every school child knows. It was the year when computational power became infinite, or so close to infinite that it could no longer be measured. It was the year we knew everything. The cloud evolved into the thunderhead, and now all there is to know about everything resides in the near infinite memory of the thunderhead for anyone who wants to access it. So, the Thunderhead is the second book, and it gets more into this artificial intelligence. And the people call it the Thunderhead because when it was first introduced, they actually feared this AI. So let's get into the second book, Thunderhead. The Thunderhead cannot interfere in the affairs of the Scythedom. All it can do is observe. It does not like what it sees. So the Thunderhead is not only advanced, it is also self-aware within this story. And this is basically what Google wants to be. Humans learn from their mistakes. I cannot. I make no mistakes. The Thunderhead is the perfect ruler of a perfect world, but it has no control over the Scythedom. A year has passed since Rowan has gone off-grid. Since then, he has become an urban legend, a vigilante snuffing out corrupt Scythes in a trial by fire. His story is told in whispers across the continent. As Scythe Anastasia, Citra gleans with compassion and openly challenges the ideas of the New Order. But when her life is threatened and her methods questioned, it becomes clear that not everyone is open to the change. In the thrilling sequel to the Prince Honor book Scythe, old foes and new enemies converge. And as corruption within the Scythedom spreads, Rowan and Citra begin to lose hope. Will the Thunderhead intervene, or will it simply watch as this perfect world begins to unravel? On page 231, you can tell that the Thunderhead is self-aware. It was my choice, not a human choice, to pass laws against my worship. I do not need adoration. Besides, such adoration would complicate my relationship with humankind. In the age of mortality, such worship was doled out upon a staggering number of god figures, although towards the end of the mortal era most believers had narrowed the spectrum down to various versions of a single divine entity. I have pondered whether or not such a being exists, and like humanity itself, I have found no definitive proof beyond an abiding feeling that there is something more, something greater. If I exist without form, a soul sparking between a billion different servers. Could not the universe itself be alive with a spirit speaking between the stars? I must sheepishly admit that I have dedicated far too many algorithms and computational resources towards finding an answer to this unknowable thing. Continuing on to page 241, because of the Thunderhead and the advancements in technology, religion is basically almost made obsolete. Here it says, there are few left who truly worship anything. Faith is an unfortunate casualty of immortality. Our world has become both uninspired and untortured. A place where miracles and magic have no mystery. With the smoke blown away and mirrors aligned, it is all revealed as manifestations of nature and technology. For anyone who wishes to know how the magic works, all they need to do is ask me. Only the tone cults carry on the tradition of faith. The absurdity of what tonists believe is both charming and at times disturbing. There is no organization among the different sects, so practices vary, but they do share several things in common. They all loathe scythes, and they all believe in the great resonance, a living vibration audible to human ears that will unify the world like a biblical messiah. I have yet to come across a living vibration, but if I do, I will certainly have many things to ask it, although I expect its response may be, well, monotonous. The Thunderhead. I am definitely going to say that this was well written. The thought process of the Thunderhead are moral and philosophical. And it is understandable that the last religion would be Tonist, worshipping a great resonance, because sound and vibrations are truly unexplainable, despite the information that we may have. Nikola Tesla once said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. In Genesis, it tells you, in the beginning, God said. By means of an unimaginable speech was everything created. Unfortunately, the focus is on this great resonance, and the creator is cast aside as myth. In the toll, the Thunderhead inadvertently takes on the role of creator. The Toll is the final book. Everything comes to a head and comes to a finish. It says back here, I am your completion. I am the last word of your unsatisfied, unsavory lives. I am your deliverer. Your death is both my verdict upon you and my gift to you. Accept it with grace, and thus farewell. I do not speak with the voice of the thunder, but the thunder does speak through me. Citra and Rowan have disappeared, and Jura is gone. It seems like nothing stands between Scythe Goddard and absolute dominion over the world, Scythedom. With the silence of the Thunderhead and the reverberations of the Great Resonance still shaking the earth to its core, the question remains: is there anyone left who can stop him? The answer lies in the tone, the toll, and the thunder. In the highly anticipated finale to the New York Times bestselling trilogy, dictators, prophets, and tensions rise. In a world that's conquered death, will humanity finally be torn asunder by the immortal beings it created? So here, everything comes to a head. Despite a very advanced AI and immortality by means of nanite technology, humanity is still corrupt. The leader Goddard makes changes in order to advance his own agenda. Goddard just smiled at her and leaned back in his chair, cracking his knuckles. The sound made Scythe Rand grimace. It always did. If the bar can't be lowered, Goddard said slowly, then the floor must be raised. Meaning? Asked Constantine. And so Goddard spelled it out clearly for them. We all agree that we can't show bias, he said. So we merely change the definition of bias. Can we do this? Nietzsche asked. We're skies. We can do anything we please. Then Goddard swiveled to Rand. Aim, pull up the definition for me. Rand leaned over, tapped on the tabletop screen, then read aloud. Bias. An inclination for or against one person or group, especially in a way considered to be unfair. Alright then, said Goddard, magnanimously jovial. Who would like the first shot at redefining it? So here they redefined it. Bias. An inclination for or against any officially protected and registered group, especially in a way considered to be unfair. And this reminds me of Animal Farm and how the pigs were adding to the written rules that they had painted up on the barn or whatever. And this shows that despite all the accomplishments that humanity can obtain, they are still corrupt to the core. They are still sinful in nature. Okay? That sinful nature is the reason why Adam and Eve were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. At the end of Genesis chapter 3, you read here, verse 22 to 24. And the Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also the tree of life and eat and live forever. Therefore the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. Okay, I'm going to start wrapping this up. This series was really good overall, and I do recommend it. The only thing that I did not like was the description of all the action and fighting that was written about, because I don't think the right words were used to convey what is supposed to be an animated sequence. But still, I recommend it. It is worth a read. But do not let the ideology within these books lead you astray. That's the only thing I can tell you, is be careful, because the philosophy in here can be convincing, despite the vocabulary in some areas being subpar and not too descriptive. I'm glad the author didn't go into too many details on certain things, but I'm just going to say that the action could have used better vocabulary. Scythe, Thunderhead, The Toll. Worth the read. Definitely worth the read though. Thank you for watching, and God bless.